Good morning. So everyone is delighted to be here as I am. I hope so. Welcome everyone. Those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Melody Smith. Some of you might have tried to forget that, but okay. Melody Smith, I'm welcoming you this morning to our service. And we're looking forward to having a lovely day today. On behalf of the worship committee, I want to welcome you to your seats and have everyone have a lovely service this morning. Our minister is Reverend Stephen Robinson, who is not with us this morning, but we have a fabulous guest speaker this morning. Rev Candace Chellew is with us here from Newberry, South Carolina. Reverend Candace is the pastor of Clayton Memorial Unitarian Universalist Church in Newberry, as I said. She's a graduate of the Candler School of Theology at Emory University in Atlanta. And she's been a minister or in the ministry for 23 years, including pastorates at the United Church of Christ and Jubilee Circle, an interfaith spiritual community right here in Columbia. She founded that in 2010 and it was closed in 2004. 2024, sorry about that. She founded it in 2010 and closed it 6 years earlier. How did that work out?
Sounds about right.
She's the author of Bulletproof Faith, a spiritual survival guide for gay and lesbian Christians. That was published in 2008 by Jossey-Bass. And she's been a student of A Course in Miracles since 2016. Stay connected with our community by keeping an eye on all of our communications. Our recurring events are included in our calendar and the order of service and the e-blast that goes out every week. If you want to receive the e-blast and you don't get it, please be sure that our administrator, Cindy Alexandri, has your current email address so that you can receive that. Make sure, listen to any special announcements. I have 2 special announcements so far that I will read at the end of the service. So be sure to stay tuned for those. And, that's foreshadowing about what's going to happen. Okay, so stay connected with us. Of course, always, we warmly welcome families and children here in our congregation. We feel so blessed to have those people with us. We do have nursery for babies up to 4 years old. And we also have a seating area over here in the corner for children 4 to 7 if they would like to sit with their parents or caregivers and play quietly. There are toys available in the social hall for kids to play with if they would like to do that. Now, here comes my favorite part. Y'all know this. It's time to take a deep breath, shut your phones off, and center yourself, feel yourself in the chair, okay? And be with us as just one here in the sanctuary together. Okay. And now, the prelude. Okay, please silence your devices and center yourselves, and we'll listen to the prelude.
This morning's prelude is called Every Morning by Rachel Grimes. I have a toddler who's experiencing some very big feelings this morning. He's going to be my little koala baby, and I'll do my best to still play these pieces while he rests his head on my body.
Lovely, Anna, thank you. Please rise in body or spirit and join me for the congregational covenant. It is in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge in freedom, and serve others in community. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please seated. Y'all, not only are we, as Unitarian Universalists, a diverse community of non-creedal religion, we're also a community of people who keep their toddlers in their lap and still play a beautiful piece of music instead of sending them to the nursery. Okay. Yes. We are also a community that's founded on deeds, not creeds. We're a covenantal religion, meaning we don't have to believe the same to treat each other the same, with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. And that means our little ones as well as our big ones, right? We place love at the center of our values, and we embrace and welcome all people. We're delighted to welcome any guests that we have today. Do we have any visitors in our audience today? If we do, Jim Kimbler is good enough to come up and bring the microphone around to any visitors who would like to introduce themselves, share your name and where you're from. We'd love to know anything else that you'd like to share with us about you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Jasper. Hello.
We are neighbors with Pastor Stephen, and he and his wife have invited us a number of times, and this is our first go, but we didn't realize he wouldn't be here, so maybe we'll be back next week.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I've got 4 of my children here with me today, Brewer, Axel, Trinity, and Garen. And we've lived in the Columbia area for about 7 years. And I met a couple members of your congregation at the No Kings protest a couple weeks ago, so we decided to come and give you guys a visit.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No one else? All right, great. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that very much. If you'd like to learn more as a visitor, you can learn more about us at our website. There's also visitor cards that are in the seat pockets in front of you. If you're in the front row, you're SOL. I'm kidding. But those cards are designed to help us give you information about UUCC, not to stalk you or, try to get you to come back next week when Reverend Stephen is actually here or something like that. Okay, we just want you to have the information that you would like from us. So please avail yourself of that. Also, our board members and committee chairs welcome any questions that you might have. Board members wear green name tags, and so they welcome any questions that you might have. We are getting ready to install a new board next month, so that will turn over, and George is really looking forward to all of your questions, right, George? Bring them on, because George will have an answer, and if he doesn't, he'll make it up. No, okay. All right, and so would my chalice lighter, Ryan Kern, come forward, please? As you all know, or many of you know, Ryan is a new member. He was installed as a member of UUCC this spring, and we're so excited to have Ryan as a new member. He sings with the choir, and he serves in the kitchen, on the kitchen committee, And we're so grateful to have him. And Ryan likes to leave people better when he leaves them than when he met them. And I can tell you, as his friend, that's absolutely true. So thank you, Ryan. All right. So, Spirit of light and life, come unto us.
Our opening hymn is in the teal hymnal. It's number 1009. And before we sing it together today, I want to tell you a short, special story about this. About a year ago here at the UUCC, we had a community music day, and this is one of the songs that we sang in the kids session. As we were singing Meditation on Breathing by Sarah Dan Jones, I asked the kids questions like, what is breathing? What is meditation? We sang through and layered all the parts for the song and gave attention to our breathing and the feeling of our voices. One kid said, I don't get it. If you're breathing in peace, wouldn't you then also breathe out peace? Another kid's face lit up and he exclaimed, I get it. If you're angry, if you're feeling angry, and you breathe in peace, it can transform your anger into love, and then you'll breathe out love. One by one, all the other kids got excited and agreed, yes, that's it. Someone said, well, everyone could do this. Everyone could breathe in peace and breathe out love. Please rise to join in singing hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. We'll start with the bottom line, the drone. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and continue. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe. Now please choose to stay on this part or join me with the melody. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, stay on either of these two parts or join me on the high part. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Thank you, Anna. And now we have our story of all ages with our own Kathy Paget. Are the kids here this morning? Come forward if you'd like to participate in the story of all ages.
Whoops. Ooh, that was rough. Testing. Good morning to you. I'm glad to see you. I brought my biggest purple purse. I have several purple purses, but this one has a special book in it that we're going to share today. Exactly. When you take a step. What colors do you see in the title? Red. We're going to see a lot of red. So this is a special book for many reasons, but one of them is it's written by Bethany Deanie Murgia, and she is related to me. She's a member of my family. So she is the daughter of my brother. So what does that make her to me? My niece, yes. So she not only wrote this, she illustrated it too. So I'm going to try to hold it down so you can see all the pictures. So when I ask you the question, what happens when you take a step? What comes to your mind? When you take a step, do you move forward? Move forward? That's a good one. So, what do you see in these pictures? Boots. Shoes, sandals, slippers, boots. Rain boots. Rain boots, yes. And what color are they?
Red and white.
Red and white. So what's going on in this picture? People are walking in those boots and those rain boots and those sandals. When you take a step, you begin a journey. You find your balance. You greet the world full and wide. You see that little girl opening the door to go outside? Can you see these pictures? You crunch fall leaves. You collect small treasures. So can you see what treasures she's collecting? Nuts and leaves from the trees. Little treasures. You make new friends, wild and free. So, where is she now? Right there. Is she inside or outside?
Outside.
And what is she looking at?
A pelican? No, that's not a pelican.
Herring or a pelican? Yeah. A crane. Yeah. So she's enjoying her walk. You share a path. So this child has found a dog to walk with. You join the rhythm. Now, what does that mean? So I'm going to help you understand what that means because I walked here today and I joined a rhythm on the corner just a few blocks away where there was a Mexican food truck. There was music. People were gathering and they were talking and they were laughing and they were creating their own rhythm. So while I was walking, I joined a rhythm. Oh, you gather courage and try again. Has anybody fallen? Have you? Did you gather some courage and try again? Yeah, we all have. You follow your heart. You blaze a trail. Ooh. You begin to dream big and bold. Can you still see the red shoes? You learn from your heroes, and you meet the past. Now, what kind of building do you think she's in now? Museum. And what is she looking at? A dinosaur. So she's meeting her past. You walk with all who have walked before. So there he is. And who are these? Ancestors. You discover your power when you take a step. What's happening in those pictures? Something on the side, yeah. They're working together.
And they're like trying to get rid of something.
They're carrying some signs.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get rid of something.
Trying to get rid of something.
No, you know, like
They are discovering their power. You see some children in a wheelchair. This little girl is making her poster. They're all gathering together, discovering their power. And then you move toward hope. Look at what's happening in that picture. What are some of the words? Love. Love, less hate. You move toward hope when you take a step. And you make the world better. So this is a different kind of picture. She made this all like a glowing sunrise, and these people are all marching together, and they're making the world better. And that's what happens when you take a step. You have to begin somewhere. So thank you for listening so carefully, and it's time to take a step toward your religious exploration classes. So. Opening words from Rev Candace.
Good morning. Our opening words come from Martin Luther King Jr. Nonviolence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man, but you refuse to hate him.
Now it's time for our candles of community. If you have personal concerns that you would like to have shared from the pulpit, you can have those concerns read if you submit them to our administrator on Fridays by noon. You can also pick up a candle in the foyer and bring it into service and share those concerns with us as well. If you have a candle, please come forward to share your joys and concerns. And finally, do we have any candles of concern? Yeah. Come on forward, please. Don't rush the podium, everybody. Settle down.
I'm Jennifer Slater, and my joy today my daughter came to visit me, and she said she would bring a surprise. And the surprise was my son, who had not seen for 34 years. And, well, it's more than a joy. There's so many feelings. And I didn't know whether he was coming to visit me, before I die, type of thing. But we went to the theater, and he said, "I will call you." And he did. And now we're chatting on the computer. So that's it. That's my joy.
That's wonderful news. So I have a quick 3-part candle. My first is this Wednesday I was with Winnie Josine, who many of you have met. She got her PIN for her certificate of nursing assistant, over in Lexington, and then we had lunch together with her and a lovely couple who were teaching her to drive and taking her to or from her full-time job at NHC now, and with France, so that was great. PK is not here today because he's with his family is visiting him to have a conversation, so we'll see how that goes. And then my son David on July 6th should be completing his time at the Hope Center in Wilmington, and then he will be having maybe 5 months in Wilmington before he's out of his program. So anyway, thank you.
So this is a candle celebration. When I first sought community on my pagan journey, this is where I found myself, and you guys have been so welcoming and so accepting. And I went through the ordination course through Greenwald Spiritual Fellowship, and I'm officially ordained as a pagan clergy. And I sought advice through the minister, Reverend Stephen, as well as the Hearthkeeper of Greenwald, Mel Abrowski. And I thank everybody here for being a part of my journey and allowing me to be part of yours.
Hi, my name's Alma, and I have a joy and a concern. The joy I'll start with first. This past week, my husband and I spent an entire week camping, just us. No kids, no grandkids, it was just us. And it was amazing to just him and I be there together for a long time. So we didn't know how it would go, but it went really well. My concern is when we returned home, we were informed that his brother was in an automobile, well, I shouldn't say an automobile accident. He's in the hospital. He drives truck. He must have had a slight stroke or something in that way. Thank God for somebody that was following him and saw that the truck was rearing off to the side of the road, and he almost ran people over, almost hit cars. So he was able to get him to pull over and called an ambulance and got him to the hospital where he needed to be. So they're running all kinds of tests at this point to see exactly what's going on with him. But thankfully, nobody was hurt.
This is hi, I'm Christina Seal, and this is a candle of concern for Regina Moody, who was walking up the way here to come to church and fell on the pavement, hurting her head. She has some bleeding, and thank you to Pat Moore, who is taking her to doctor's care, which is right around the corner on Rosewood. So if y'all could keep Regina in your thoughts and prayers.
Hi, I'm Joan Watterson, and this is a candle of concern. An old friend of our community, Chuck Hassel, died a few weeks ago, apparently. He had a very debilitating chronic disease that kept him at Still Hopes in the nursing home section for the last week or so, a year or so. But yeah, we'll miss him.
This last candle is lit for those joys and concerns that we haven't heard, but that are out there. We all know people carry a lot in themselves, and so we light this for those. One last thing, folks, I want to let you know that we have a fabulous group of people on the caring committee who do the hard work of keeping up with people who can't come to services, that need someone to come and visit. They let other people know what's going on with other people in the community, just like Joan just did. I swear, I think she's clairvoyant. She knows what's going on with everybody all the time. I don't know how she does that, but that is a very needed and very difficult job, and the caring committee, Joan and the caring committee do a terrific job of doing that. And so now we have some offertory music from Reverend Chellew.
Okay, I may not be that short, okay. I'd like to sing an original song for you that I wrote, but first I would like to read a poem. I don't know if anyone, he comes across my Facebook page all the time. His name is John Rodell, and if you have not run into any John Rodell poems, yes, I highly recommend. This is a poem of his, and it goes like this. When the world goes mad, become wildly kind to everyone, 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 everyone. My love, you can't control much, but you control how you treat others. In these breaking news, heartbreaking times when nothing feels certain, let your raw kindness be a certainty. Allow your compassion to become a North Star, stamped up in the sky for others to follow back home. The song is called Be Kinder. The sun shines and never counts the cost of all its rays. None is ever lost Its glow falls in shadows and light, with no regard for what's wrong and right, illuminating the nights of our despair, inviting us into its circle of care. May kindness, like the sun, radiate for all to see, and be kinder than necessary to everyone. Be a sanctuary. Everyone is battling their darkness. Let the light of compassion disarm us. Here we can rest in its open seclusion, where all of creation breaks from illusion. Here a kind word can lighten our load. A warm touch feels like love bestowed. Here we drop our heavy shield, and our true purpose is revealed. To be kinder than necessary to everyone, be a sanctuary. Everyone is battling their darkness. Let the light of compassion disarm us. No act of kindness is ever wasted. It's the only way true love is ever tasted. Here at the tip of our tongue is love's song, ready to be sung. If your kindness is ever refused, don't let your ego be bruised. Open up your heart and let it flow. Let kindness set the world aglow, and be kinder than necessary to everyone. Be a sanctuary. Thank you.
Well, y'all, I just seemed hell-bent on messing the service up today. I was sitting over here thinking, when Reverend Stephen is here, everything goes so smoothly. And I forgot to talk to you about share the plate and where your money is going. So everybody's going, oh, I guess it's time for us to pass the baskets around, because Melody didn't say anything about it. So thank y'all for stepping in and covering for my mistake. The congregation participates in what we call Share the Plate. It's an initiative where where half of the monthly cash that we collected is donated to a local charity. And it's our way of giving back and supporting our community. Half of the cash that you put in the basket today will go to June's recipient, which is the free medical clinic. If you'd like to contribute even more, you're welcome to do that. I'm sure they'd let you slip another envelope into the baskets later if you like to. But if you want it to go to the free medical clinic specifically, please put on your check, Share the Plate, or on your memo line or on the envelope. But we gladly appreciate and take these gifts in and it reflects the generosity and kindness of our community. So thank you. And now, once again, we are going to hear from our special guest speaker this morning, Rev Candace Chellew.
Thank you. I bring you greetings from Clayton Memorial Unitarian Universalist Church. Yes, it is a mouthful. There is a UU in Newberry. Who knew? So if you're ever up that way, come join us. Breathe deeply. I have my Schoolhouse Rock t-shirt or shirt on today for our civics lesson. So, and whoever did the cover art this morning, I don't know who's responsible for that cover art, but kudos! Oh my, that is. I'm taking that home and framing it. When I began watching the Hulu adaptation of Margaret Atwood's *The Handmaid's Tale* back in 2017, it almost seems like the good old days, doesn't it? During our current White House resident's first term in office, like many people during that time, it felt sort of like a real-time, prescient documentary on the potential future of our country. Watching June Osborne, known in Gilead as Offred or of Fred, watching her handle the horrors of being a handmaid and all the abuse and humiliation that entailed, I had one dominating thought that kept popping into my head every time I would watch this show, and it was, if I were ever in such a position, how would my spiritual beliefs and practices help me? And I used to describe myself as a recovering Southern Baptist, since I was raised in a household led by a Southern Baptist minister. Now I just call myself a recovering Christian, since my spirituality has shifted away from a Trinitarian God that relies on substitutionary atonement to save people from their sin. So since 2016, I've been a student of something called A Course in Miracles, which is not a religion per se. It's really sort of a form of mind training. And the goal is to help you unlearn the ways and beliefs of fear-based religions that teach us to feel separate and sinful, and instead helps you develop a vision of love and unity and innocence. So according to A Course, the biggest problem that we all face is that we have forgotten who we are. We think we're these bodies. We think we're these egos, because that's what drives us out here in the world. And we think we live in this world full of fear and conflict and loss, but in reality, with a capital R, we're all eternal spiritual beings. We're all connected to one another and to something greater. A Course calls that greater thing God, but it's truly just this higher consciousness, this universe that connects us all, no matter what label you put on it. Deep down, what it teaches is that we are all made of love and not fear. We suffer in this world because we choose fear over love. But the miracle that the book talks about in its title is merely a correction in our perception. Lesson 135 in the Course's workbook says, a miracle merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. When we can look through this illusion, then we reach that peace that Jesus guy talked about. He said it passes the world's understanding of what peace is or could be. So how in the world is that gonna help anybody when a dictator arises and people like me, female, lesbian, are subject to the kind of repression that we see in a show or a book called The Handmaid's Tale? And in some ways, I'll be honest, it doesn't help at all. Not one little bit. When the boot of authoritarianism is on your throat, feelings of anger, fear, and resistance are pretty much gonna overwhelm you. But there's one phrase that is used constantly throughout the book and the series that I believe can give us the roadmap to resist authoritarian rule without becoming what we hate, without making its fear-based rule real and therefore undefeatable in our hearts and minds. And that phrase, for those of you who are familiar with The Handmaid's Tale, that phrase is, "Blessed be the fruit." Now, this is the customary greeting for handmaids when they meet each other on the street or on the market. And the greeting reminds me of a story. In the 3rd chapter of Luke from the Christian scriptures, John the Baptist is doing just as his name suggests. He's out baptizing people. But in this story, he calls those who approach him a brood of vipers. And he tells them they can't rely on their status as chosen people because they're the descendants of Abraham. They can't rely on that to keep them safe. Instead, he says, you must bear fruit worthy of repentance, because he tells them the axe is lying at the root of the trees, and those who are not bearing fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. The people asked John, well, what should we do then? What is fruit worthy of repentance? What John tells them to do, my friends, are acts of resistance against the power structures of their day. He says, share with one another. If you have 2 coats, give one away. If you have enough food, share it. He tells the tax collector, who is the representative of the government, to deal fairly with those he encounters. He tells the soldier, the representative of the power of the state, not to threaten, extort, or oppress anyone, or make false accusations. My friends, the axe is at the root of the tree of democracy at this very moment. We, as Americans, have taken for granted that authoritarian regimes only happen in other countries. Just like the descendants of Abraham, we think we're special because we come from a group of founders who tried to create a place where no king could ascend to a throne. But much like the Jews who came to John to be baptized, as a country, we have stopped bearing the fruits of kindness, of compassion, of empathy, generosity, fairness, equity, and the greatest fruit of all, love. And we are in very real danger of being cut down and thrown into the fire. So this morning, this is our wake-up call to begin to bear some blessed fruit in our lives. Because as John points out to his audience, the kind of fruit that we bear can be revolutionary, especially in a time when such fruits as kindness and compassion, empathy, generosity, fairness, equity, and maybe most of all, love, are seen as weaknesses. Our world does not need more of the fruit of reactionary, angry, or despairing people. For us to bear good, blessed, and effective fruit, we must first plant those seeds within our own minds, within our own hearts, and cultivate them there. They don't have to be in full bloom. We don't have to be enlightened to save the world. But we do have to begin the practice of contemplating and cultivating these fruits so we can bear them out into the world. And this is where our spiritual practices can play a role. A mind training program like A Course in Miracles, it has helped me plant the seeds of kindness, of compassion, and love, and they're already taking root in my heart. A Course tells us we save the world by realizing that though we may seem bodily separate from everybody else, we share a consciousness. That consciousness is not sick, it is not sinful, it is not in need of somebody to die on a cross to save us. That consciousness is innocent. That consciousness is love itself. And if this is true, that we are all part of that big consciousness, then even those we blame for the state of the world, they too are imbued with that consciousness of love, no matter how effectively they bury it under a pile of egoic selfishness and acts that bring suffering and harm upon others. And if we can recognize that fact on a conscious level, that we are all joined and there is only one of us here having a bunch of disparate bodily experiences, then that means that individually, we are not powerless. It means that every thought we think, every action we take, every seed of love planted within our heart and mind has the power to change the world. To do that, though, first you gotta work on changing the world inside. It's the only world we really have the power to change. As Martin Luther King Jr. says, we have to equally not want to shoot someone physically. We don't hate them either. As one handmaid in the story, June is outmatched by the outward power of Gilead. But she uses small acts of resistance to little by little reclaim her agency. Her commander, Fred Waterford, he takes a liking to her, and he allows her to read something that is forbidden to women in Gilead. He gives her lotion, and in doing so, he is actually doing things that are against the law. And she plays into this. She gives him a chance to see her as a human being and not just as a vessel. She reclaims her own bodily autonomy by starting a relationship with Waterford's driver, a man named Nick, a union that results in a child. These personal reclamations of her power blossom when she discovers there's already a resistance group called Mayday. And the handmaids, they all amplify these small acts of resistance. Little by little, they reclaim their agency until, spoiler alert, Gilead is defeated. Their actions are only truly effective because they believe that they each individually have the power, and then collectively they come together in resistance to overcome their oppressors. There is a cautionary tale here, however. Violence is one of the main tools used in The Handmaid's Tale, and we must be vigilant to not make it a hallmark of our resistance. Achieving change through violence usually leads to instability after victory, according to sociologists, but by contrast, stability is more likely after a successful resistance using nonviolent social action. And right now, there are a lot of nonviolent acts of resistance we can do to bear that blessed fruit in the world. One of the most powerful things we can do is to reclaim our language. In this talk, for instance, I'm seeking to reclaim this phrase of oppression, blessed be the fruit. I want to turn it on its head. Instead of a greeting meant to drive home the message that handmaids are nothing but walking wombs, I want to reclaim it as a powerful phrase meant to remind us to bear good fruit because we have the power to create a world based on love and not fear. We have the power to act in nonviolent ways that can bring about a revolution, and we do that by not allowing hate to win. Not in our world and not within our heart. As social activist Matthew Albrecht writes, perhaps our most radical choice is to keep our hearts open, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The world we long for, a world of genuine community and connection, will not be built on hatred or rage. It will be built through the brave choice to see each other's humanity across our deepest differences, to honor those differences and to engage with respect and care, even when we are working toward different goals. That is more fertile ground, he writes. Refusing to vilify may be the most radical act of resistance left to us. So how do we engage in this radical act of keeping our hearts open? Well, there are many ways. Peaceful protests are always great. We have seen their effectiveness. But there are other ways. Currently, our government is trying to use language against us. They have banned such words as diversity, inclusion, woke, climate change, social justice, even the Gulf of Mexico. You want to resist? Use these words. Use them everywhere. Use them incessantly. Put them in your poetry. Put them in your songs. Put them on your protest signs. Do not let them weaponize our language against us. We're also seeing the rewriting of history in this time. The government is changing the names of Navy vessels named for civil rights heroes like Harvey Milk and Harriet Tubman, and Supreme Court Justices Thurgood Marshall and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Many historical events are disappearing from government websites. References to immigrants, LGBTQ plus people, even women and girls are being scrubbed from historical entries. Even a page about the Enola Gay, the plane that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, was taken down by the Pentagon for a short period of time because gay was in the name. That's what find and replace will do for you when you're going through pages, right? If we can be forced to forget our history, they've already won. So we keep history alive, and we document what's happening now so that it can live on for future generations to know and study. We must speak truth and protest the removal and the whitewashing of our history. We must use the power of our purse and boycott companies that support repressive policies. The Tesla takedown movement has been wildly successful. It has badly damaged the Tesla brand, its sales figures around the world. It's not even #1 in Europe anymore. Good job. Sales at some of the retailers like Target, which stopped its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, have been declining, while retailers like Costco, which resisted such pressures, have seen their sales rise. These are all effective uses of nonviolent protest. It's a great example of how we, as individuals, doing small acts collectively, can drastically change things. But I want to get back to John the Baptist's simple examples of resistance. Because even if we do all the things I've talked about, if we skip that step where we first go within and change this world from fear to love, then none of these outward actions will make any difference in the long run. If those seeds of kindness, compassion, empathy, generosity, fairness, equity, and love are not first planted within our own hearts and minds, and then cultivated until they take root and begin to bloom, nothing we do will change the outside world. Not effectively, anyway. It takes both things, the cultivation of that inner spiritual world as one of peace and joy, and the small and large outward acts of resistance. If you do one without the other, you might change things for a few minutes or maybe even a few centuries, but it will not change them for good. It's only doing both that makes permanent change, or what a course calls the happy dream. Wouldn't we all want the happy dream instead of a nightmare? So the best way to cultivate positive change in that inner world, this is where your spirituality, this is where the rubber meets the road with your spirituality. Making that positive change inside is to do the things that give you joy. Whatever it is. A creative art, being out in nature, gathering with friends and family, taking a trip, petting a dog or a cat, I don't care, whatever it is. Do it now. Do it often, do it every day, do it with great joy. And this is not spiritual bypass. You still got to do the hard work of resistance, but you also cultivate joy. As history professor and letters from an American writer, Heather Cox Richardson, who everybody is on her email list in this room, I know it. She said recently in a live thing, I've got a YouTube link if you want to go see it, it's great. She said, authoritarians cannot rise if there are strong communities and people acting with joy. You need despair and anger in order for an authoritarian to rise. Whatever those things that bring you to community, do them, and do them with joy. Don't stop doing things you love because you're scared, because that is actually a form of resistance. Showing up and doing things you love says to an authoritarian, you have no place to root here. The axe is at the root of that joy in this moment. And it's normal to feel despair and anger in these times. In fact, it's easy. It's the easiest thing to do. But if you want to do the difficult and joyful work of manifesting a different world, root yourself in joy. Root yourself in kindness. Root yourself in compassion. Root yourself in empathy. Root yourself in generosity. Root yourself in fairness. Root yourself in equity. And above all, root yourself in love. These are trees that can never be uprooted. Blessed be the fruit.
Our closing hymn was written by songwriter, spiritual feminist, social activist Carolyn McDade. And the story of this song, she wrote it as a personal prayer after an especially difficult time in her social activism work and a meeting that she had with a group of people. She was given a ride by her friend Pat after the meeting, and she said, "When I got to Pat's house, I told her, I feel like a piece of dried cardboard that has laid in the attic for years. Just open wide the door and I'll be dust." I was tired, not with my community, but with the world. She just sat with me, and I loved her for sitting with me. McDade then drove home and says, "I walked through my house in the dark, found my piano, and that was my prayer. May I not drop out. It was not written, but prayed. I knew more than anything that I wanted to continue in faith with the movement. And thus, this prayer was written, a request for support, for rest, for renewal, for perspective." I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. 123, Spirit of Life.
Our closing words come again from social activist Matthew Albrecht. Perhaps our greatest act of resistance is refusing to let hate win. Perhaps our most radical choice is to keep our hearts open, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The world we long for, a world of genuine community and connection, will not be built on hatred and rage. It will be built through the brave choice to see each other's humanity across our deepest differences. Refusing to vilify may be the most radical act of resistance left to us.
Thank you, Reverend Candace. Can everybody hear me? Thank you, Reverend Candace, for being here this morning. So grateful to have a guest speaker who had so much wisdom and so many things to say. As I extinguish the chalice this morning, I'm thinking about light. We all need a lot of light right now, don't we? We need light on the truth. We need lightness in these times that are really, really heavy. And we need lightness within ourselves. So. Please join me in the benediction. Just a couple of announcements before we dismiss for the day. The registration portal is now open for the UUCC annual retreat at the Mountain, which will be October 24th through the 26th. Check future e-blasts for more information, but you may secure your space by registering now at the Mountain website. If you have questions, see Joan Watterson or Jenny Verne or any member of the Mountain Committee. And last but not least, the Caring Committee needs volunteers for the estate sale this week. There are things to do any day you're available. Please see Jim out at the table in the social hall to sign up to help. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely Sunday afternoon. And please join us in the social room for some beverages and whatnot.
An additional request, if you're in our choir Chalice Voices, if you could come to the piano to talk with me for a minute, please.